Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Yeah.
Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in a bag of can. I can make it round the world and it holds in your hand. Popcorn world. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. The popcorn world.
You're now listening to BEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Burn Creek Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BEAV in the ACC.
thing I am certain for is I know my parents love me. They stand behind me, come what may. And now that I'm ready, I can finally say it's a different world. Where we come from.
Yes, it is now.
Yes, it is now. Shout out to the great Hillman College, which we are representing well on this.
Shout out to the HBCUs, both real and fictional.
In my mind, Hillman could have gone to the Final Four. I don't know why, but in my mind, they could have. They were so dope. It was such a dope.
With Ron running the point.
Ron running the point guard. Your boy Dwayne Wayne on the wing.
I think we'd have a mixed guy because I think Jaleesa could post some people up.
Jaleesa looked like a strong girl back then. Looked like she could have handled herself against an Angel Reese or Carmilla Cardosa. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. But that's my guy, Kendrick Haskins over there. It's Lloyd Spence right here. Charlie Ward is en route to Phoenix.
He's a busy man.
He'll be here when he gets here. He'll pop in and say hello to us at some point during this show. But we got a Final Four for the ages. And let me just say this. I said it last week and I'll say it again this week. The demise of the ACC has been greatly exaggerated. Because the ACC showed up to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, and two teams showed out. And they both live at NC State.
Right. Raleigh
My God. Shout out to NC State, who, man, showed up and pulled a Louisville.
Right. Yeah. It's so crazy because I can remember when U of L did it in 2013.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe the NC State women can pull off the upset and the NC State men, and both of them make the final because both Louisville men and women made the final that year. And it's a crazy time. It's an exciting time. Somebody who lived it before.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a crazy time, exciting time for your school and for your city. So enjoy it. And
I also want to give a shout out to UConn, who also has a legitimate shot to win this thing.
And they're here all the time.
Right. This is nothing new to them. Right. This is nothing new to them.
I do have a present a question for you on that.
Absolutely.
And when do we start talking about UConn in the epsilon of a UCLA, of a Kentucky, of Duke? Because
on the men's side, you mean?
On the men's side.
Oh, I'm there.
Because like whenever we talk about blue bloods, we pretty much limit it to UCLA, UK, Duke, Carolina, and Kansas.
Yeah.
But at this point, especially if we're talking about recent, UConn's the best out of all of them.
Out of all of them.
Because not only are they doing it, they're doing it with multiple coaches.
And let me add this to it. This year, UConn is playing on a UNLV/96 Kentucky level.
Yes.
Like they're leaving no doubt that we are the best team in college basketball.
Yeah.
And so if they keep this up, I'm with you. I think you got to say UConn's name when you say everybody else's. And if you don't, it's disrespect.
Yeah. If you don't, you're hanging on to the past.
Because you're hanging on to the past. They are legitimately a blue blood. They are legitimately one of the greats. They are legitimately, and maybe, man, you could argue they've done more with less.
Yeah.
Because it's harder. It's a lot harder to get somebody to stores than it is in Los Angeles.
If you've never been to stores, Connecticut, if you blink, you'll miss it.
Right. Much harder path to get somebody to stores than it is to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And somehow they're doing it.
And if you think about it, I mean, and they're not churning out all these NBA greats. I mean, Ray Allen and Rip Hamilton and Kemba, and that's about where it stops as far as as having great NBA careers. They do it and at the college level like it's supposed to be done. And I said Jim Calhoun, he had his run, but then Kevin Ollie has a title. Now Hurley is on the cusp of having 2 titles. So I'm saying for one program to do it with that many coaches, I mean,
impressive.
It's impressive. And plus, you also got to think this has only been about a 30-year run, if that.
Yeah.
If 30. When was their first championship? Was in the 90s.
It was in the 90s.
But it was in the later 90s. I don't even think it was like
it was like 98 or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
so
no, not 98 because that was Kentucky.
Kentucky was 98.
97 maybe? Was it the year after 90? No, Arizona. It was Kentucky, Arizona.
Kentucky again.
So maybe it was 2000. Maybe it was
99 or 2000.
Yeah, maybe
so
we're talking about somewhere in that mix. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about a run that is not even 30 years old.
No,
they're coming up on, and like if they win this year, it's to be what, their 5th?
Yep. And again, it's stores.
It's stores, Connecticut.
Right. We're not talking about Los Angeles. We're not talking about a massive metropolitan area.
Right.
None of that. We're talking about a town with a Walmart.
Right.
Right.
And a bunch of chain restaurants. And a bunch of chain restaurants.
Right.
But it's a thing of where I don't think people put them up there because they weren't doing this back in the 60s, 70s when all the blue bloods were being established, when Kentucky's and the Kansas in the 50s and all that stuff. But
yeah,
I mean, honestly, being totally honest, I kind of respect what UConn's done more than I respect the rest of them, because a lot of them won a lot of their titles when black people weren't playing. So
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, bro.
So what UConn's doing,
you got to put them in the conversation.
You have to put them in the conversation.
Matter of fact, I'll even go a step further. Since we're here, I wasn't planning to go this way this year, but this morning, but I'm glad you did. So this is good. I would even go a step further. I would reorganize what we're calling blue bloods. I would say the new version of blue bloods now is I'd put Michigan State in there. I'd put Connecticut in there.
I think you keep Kentucky and Kansas in there.
Kentucky and Kansas probably.
UCLA is the one that's the borderline.
I'd put Louisville on the outside looking in but they got a lot of ish to fix.
Yeah, but they do have a title.
But they have a title. And somewhat, they have a title and they also have a Final Four run and they have a couple of Final Four runs.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I'm saying I'd put them on the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the blue blood to me has changed. UCLA, I get it. I get what it is. I get the history. I don't want to keep calling that a blue blood when they haven't won a title in like
since Tyus Edney. So
since Tyus Edney. Yeah. So that's not really fair.
And then like the same way, I mean, and I love them to death, and they right across the street from me, but I use in the same boat.
Same thing. It's been a long time since you conquered the mountain.
1987 was a long time ago.
Yeah, so you can make a case that Connecticut is at the top of the blue bloods right now.
Yeah, you can make a serious case for that.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that, bro.
And the crazy thing is, like, there's still a blue blood in the women, and I guess technically you still say if you're ranking blue bloods, they're still at the top of the women too. So I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's. Listen, right now, the blue bloods in the women's is Connecticut, South Carolina, and Field.
Well, I think Tennessee technically. You put Tennessee as a blue blood at the same way you put UCLA as a blue blood on the mid side, I think.
You do, but it's not like a modern blue blood.
Right.
We'd say historical blue blood.
Historical blue blood, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tennessee, we're going to get to that. I'm glad you brought that up because I want to talk about a little bit of that as well in the midst of this conversation today.
That's crazy that they fired her.
That whole thing is bananas.
That's insane.
But
that's one of their own that they did that too.
I know, that's crazy to me. But before we get to that, let's talk about what has happened in the Final Four this past weekend. I got to tell you something, man. I'm all in on DJ Burns. And I don't mean just what he's done in this tournament. I'm saying, how can you get him on your team? Like, that kid, to me, is Zach Randolph 2.0. And
looks just
he
him.
Literally is at the same place where Zach was in his career. Heavyset kid, probably way too overweight, but my God, he does everything right.
His footwork and his quickness is unreal. It's unbelievable how quick he is. And like his matchup with Edie is going to be interesting because I don't think Edie gets enough credit for his footwork. He's got great footwork too. And he is quick for a man his size, but he does have excellent footwork. So I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup to watch on Saturday.
I have to give you credit for helping me because I had not seen a lot of Purdue games, admittedly. Mm-hmm. And so you were like, Lloyd, you got to pay attention, man. I'm telling you, it's better than you think it is. Mm-hmm. And so I started watching it, and I agree. The thing that I think makes him not get the credit is that it's a slower version. So it looks like it's like Jokic. It doesn't look impressive if you don't understand how it all works, if you don't understand how the game works, and as a big man you don't understand it, then you're not impressed because it looks slow and cumbersome. Right. But the truth of the matter is, if you're playing against it, it's almost impossible to stop.
Right. Because he's so big.
He's so big, and it's not even the height that really is. Because for me, his height wouldn't bother me. It's his width. I can't get around you to cheat you. So so the things that I would do as an undersized big to stop you from getting the ball, I can't do that because it takes me an extra half a second to get around you. So by the time I get around you, a good point guard is going to throw long to the angle. If they're throwing to the hand, they're going to throw long to. See, we get into the technical stuff now, but they're throwing long to your outer hand, which he does a phenomenal job of showing. And then if he shows high, I can't stop that. I can't get to that. So that's the reason why you see him dominating in the way that he does. So it's I'm telling you, man, this matchup with Burns, I agree with you 100%. I think it's worth the price of admission because Edie's going to have trouble with his quickness. That drop step spin that he's got is
so quick. It's so quick.
Outstanding. And if he can reverse it, if he can somehow figure out a way to reverse it and get away from his length, Edie's going to have a long day.
And another underrated part of Burns' game is he makes shots at awkward angles. Yeah, it's like his release point is at such awkward angles. I do wonder how much the Edie size is going to affect that.
I was going to say,
but the shot. Sometimes you look at his shot and like when he releases, you're like, "There's no way that's going in," and it'll be on net.
Yeah. But listen, his touch around the basket, bro.
Yes,
it's the only person I can match it to, maybe historically, is a Zach Randolph or a Charles Barkley. Although Charles didn't have
the touch like that. I think his touch is
like he would use the backboard more so than Burns did.
I think his touch is
Burns
more like
use backboard.
Right. Yeah. Right. His touch is more like Olajuwon.
Olajuwon is a better. Yeah. It's probably a better comparison.
And so is
and I know people are like, y'all are comparing him to Olajuwon. Yes, Yes, big men know. We know what he's doing is special. That is special. It's unprecedented. You don't see that.
And he's
worked
even
on
said that he patterned his game off Elijah Wan.
Yeah,
He's even
it's
said that, and it's
now
and it's obvious that he paired because he does have a little bit of that dream
he's got
shake
Elijah
in his
Wan in
game.
it. You can see it. It's
Mhm.
his counters are good. His ceiling is good. I mean, again, we're getting into weeds now, technical terms, but
Hey, this is
his
gonna be
skills are.
we're gonna be a little technical today,
We'll be
especially
a
when we
little
start
technical
breaking
today,
down
'cause-
that LSU game.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, we gotta get to that too. It was just beautiful. He's just got a beautiful basketball game, and I think he also has an NBA game. It's just the only thing that's stopping him from being maybe the number one pick in the draft is size. He's got to lose the weight.
Size, and I mean he doesn't have much of a perimeter game, and
Right.
that is one thing that Zach Randolph
And that's
did
something
add
everybody
to his
wants
game.
these days.
And if you go back and look at his career, Zach Randolph added that to his game in his career. He did add the outside shot. It wasn't as prevalent when he was done playing as it is now. And I think if Zach Randolph came along now, he probably would shoot a lot more threes.
Absolutely.
But I think that's the part of his game that's probably may hold him back. But if you think about it, if you look at the way the NBA is kind of sliding now, the big game is the big man is a lot more prevalent. Look, the two MVPs is Jokic and Embiid.
Yeah, you gotta have a big man now.
And they can step out and shoot the three, but they're not shooting them all the time.
But and I was just going to say, he doesn't have to master it. He just needs to put it in the bag.
Right.
It's a club he needs in the bag to be able to pull out from time to time. And he ain't got to go all around the perimeter, hit that top of the key, maybe a little short corner every now and then to drive down the baseline, and that's it. And you're good. It may and honestly, you don't really need the baseline. That's just an extra added if you get it. But that top of the key, if you can step out, pull the guys out from the inside, that's all you need. But he's got everything and all the other tools in the bag around the basket. He got them.
And and honestly, I see a spot in the league for Edie too. A lot of people,
absolutely.
They're talking about Edie may not even get drafted, which I think is insane. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, but I think he would. I mean, Boban's in the league. And so I think,
but he's better than Boban.
He's better than Boban. He's
better than Boban. He's better than I'm going back some years, but Manute Bol, that skill set that he had, he's better than those guys. He's a legit 7-2. He's better than Mirasan. He's more fluent than Mirasan was.
That's been my thing with Edie the whole time. And we've talked about it on the show. It's like, yeah, we're used to Purdue having a big 7-foot giant in the middle, but he is the most agile, most athletic out of the big oafs that they've had in the league on their roster over the years. It's like they always have a big 7-footer. We're used to that, but there's something different about Edie and his game, and I do think he can translate into the NBA. Like, especially if he develops real quick, if he develops more of a passing out, because he really doesn't pass out of the double team as much. But one thing he's really good at is he passes out and then goes back into the repost. Yeah. He does that very well, and he does that a lot. And I'm like, there's a spot for that in the NBA. Everything's not about threes.
Absolutely. I'm gonna tell you what he reminds me of. Well, what he could be. He could be the poor man's Rick Smits.
Yes.
Yeah. He could be the poor man Rick Smits. Just don't complicate your game, bro. If you're giving him 20 and 15 a game, you got a 15-year career. Easy.
I don't even think he has to even do that much. I think if he can get you 15 and 10, 15 and 8, because he's not going to be a star. I mean, he's not going to be a star. I think a lot of people look at it through the prism of somebody going to be a star. Not everybody that goes in the NBA is a star. 90% of the NBA is not stars.
Yeah, I was going to say,
he's going to be a serviceable role player that can be a matchup nightmare on certain nights with certain teams.
But I'll say this. I tell you, people like Victor Wembanyama, I tell you, like people like Draymond Green, they don't want to see him.
I don't know.
Draymond doesn't have an answer for that.
Draymond doesn't, but Victor does.
Victor has the length for that. He doesn't have the strength for that right now. Not right now.
He doesn't, but he can just take him outside.
Well, that's a problem.
That dude is
That's
a
a problem
problem.
for you. I'll admit that.
That dude is a problem.
That dude is a problem. I'll admit it. So anyway, 76-64, NC State beat Duke in the Elite Eight. First of all, shout out to Duke and NC State for getting to the Elite 8 and shocking the world in their own special way. I know everybody was, I don't know if Duke can beat Houston. I didn't know if Duke could beat Houston, if I'm being honest. I
didn't get hurt. Let's be honest.
Well, let's be clear. If Shaheed doesn't get hurt, Duke probably doesn't beat Houston.
They do not. They do not. They proved that in that NC. They proved that in that NC State game when they would not double DJ Burns, even though he is destroying them. He's destroying Filipowski. He's destroying everybody down low, and they would not send a double team.
But you know what though? I'm gonna actually give them a little grace in that, and here's the reason why. They've already played him twice. They know they can't stop him. They realize we don't have an answer for this. We're just gonna have to figure out how to play around it. And if they're hitting the shots, then it's the counter. It's right. It is the counter. But if you're not, then you know you can't win. And I think Shire was like, we've done this dance 3 times. We know what this guy is. We know we don't have Filipowski cannot guard him. He cannot guard him. There's just no answer. So what do we do?
Has anybody hurt their draft stock more this season than Filipowski?
Nobody.
On the men's side. There's somebody on the women's side who has.
Yeah. Matter of fact, though, you said, and I quote, I don't know if he's going to get drafted. I take out Edey, add Filipowski. I don't know if he's going to. What does he do NBA-wise that you need?
He can be a stretch, but still, I mean.
But it's a slow stretch, though. It's not an NBA stretch. It's a college stretch.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think he will get.
Guys on the outside looking in.
I think he still gets drafted. He definitely not lottery. I can see him sneaking into the late first round, but
I can see him getting an invite.
If he came out last year, he probably would have been a lottery.
Yeah, I can see him getting an invite. I don't know. And here's the reason. And one of the reasons why I say I don't know is because there's a foreign contingency that you're going to see over these next few weeks that people haven't been talking about yet, but we're going to be talking about, and everybody else is going to be talking about.
And G League kids too.
And some G League kids that we haven't talked about that you're going to hear us talking about. Though that's going to be the problem for Edey and Filipowski. They're going to get pushed down.
And BJ too.
Again with DJ, that footwork, man, is so flawless. I think barring him collapsing tomorrow against or Saturday against Edey, if it's a total collapse, then that could be a problem. But if he holds his own, I think he's a solid second rounder. I don't know if he can play himself into the first, just because I don't think he lose that weight that fast. But for sure, he could get into the second round. I'll take a fly on him.
Yeah, I hope the officiating stays out of the way.
You know who I hope he does not go to? I hope to God he does not go to. Please don't let this kid fall to Denver. That is not fair. Because if he's learning from Jokic every day, Denver is going to win a championship at least once every 2 or 3 years. They're the San Antonio Spurs now.
I mean, at this point, they're at that point already.
Right. They're already there, and they're not even. But I'm telling you, he's the perfect Denver Nugget player because you can set him on the bench for at least a year, or even send him to the G League for a year. Let him lose the weight, bring him back up. What do? You take Jokic out and you put Burns, a healthy, in shape Burns in.
He's also a good fit.
What do you do?
It's a good fit for the Spurs too.
It's a great fit for the Spurs. Great compliment to a Victor Wembanyama. Great compliment. And I'm selfish here. I will admit what I'm about to say. He would save Anthony Davis's career.
I don't know
because you could hide him at the 5. And slide Anthony Davis over and still get the exact same defensive production.
I don't know if his style of play really fits what the Lakers do. I think him learning under Pop and Tim Duncan would be amazing for him as an individual.
Oh, for sure, no question.
I think he'd be a good fit there. I was thinking about Golden State, maybe. Just
He'd be
he can
great there.
learn the basketball side under Draymond.
Yes,
He's already more mature than
we don't need
Draymond.
other stuff. Yeah,
Learn the basketball stuff under Draymond and get that the defensive intensity. I think would be great for him.
and understanding what it means to play undersized, but with strength and force.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, another perfect fit. The only reason I mentioned the Lakers is because of this.
Because you're a Laker fan.
Forget this regular season; it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Where he comes into fit is when the Lakers need him. Like they need him this season against Denver, because when the game slows down, you got to have another big or strength or force that can go and make it tough for Jokic. We don't have that. We don't have that extra person right now. So,
and there's a very real chance that your playoffs starts against the Nuggets.
oh, more than a real chance. At this point, it almost seems inevitable. But you know, I'm holding out some measure of hope because they've actually played really, really well the last 15, 20 games. So I'm holding out some measure of hope. Ladies and gentlemen, are you live from Phoenix or you're headed to Phoenix?
I'm headed.
Okay,
Phoenix.
but you look good.
You're not on the same airlines as UConn basketball, are you?
No, I hope, I'm not sure, but I hope not.
Well, you look good, ladies and gentlemen. The great Charlie Ward.
The great Charlie Ward.
We were just singing the necessary praises of one DJ Burns, who has very much earned. And by the way, this is the perfect time for you to come because there's another set of praise that we must give out. Ladies and gentlemen, and let me look directly at the camera when I say this. Shout out to the almost fired Kevin Keats and the athletic administration of NC State. You guys are geniuses. Because you almost let a coach go that now is one of the hottest coaches in the country.
And he got a 2-year extension because of this run. Because it was
you know what, though? If you're Kevin Keats, I feel a way about that. I'm going to be honest with
you. Yeah. I mean, from the outside looking in, I definitely feel a way about it as well. But of course, he's happy to be in the mix. And the crazy part about it is, if they had lost any game in the ACC tournament, he would be out of a job right now.
He'd be out of a job.
And they were down in the second half to Louisville. If they'd have lost to U of L, he definitely would have been out of a job.
Fired him that afternoon. They'd have fired him that afternoon. That was the first game, wasn't it?
Yep.
That was the first game of the tournament. They were down at halftime, and they figured out a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's the craziest part. Like, how many Kevin Keats are out there right now?
Yeah.
But, not saying they don't have a job, but they didn't get an opportunity to. They're great coaches, but for some reason that season they may not have gotten the job done like they wanted. They wanted it, and this man was literally on his way out if his team would have lost one game in the ACC tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, it was over. It was all over. It was he and Kenny Payne were going to be on the same bus. It was amazing. So I got to give that man all the credit that he so richly deserves. You know what was interesting? I don't know if you guys heard this. At the end of the Duke game, the young lady asked DJ, "What is different? What's different about this team?" And one thing did you hear this? Did you hear the interview, Charlie? DJ said, "Well, it was wild." His answer was kind of wild. He said, "Well, everybody's not coming late." And then he said that was the first thing he said. He said, "Everybody's not coming late right now, and we all are on the same page." And I was like, wait, let's not skip over this late thing. You're late? Like, what's going on? So clearly there were some issues on the team that had zero to do with Kevin Keats. It was just a self-discipline thing from the team. And for some reason, DJ seemed as miffed by it as anybody. He said, "We're just all on the same page right now."
Mm.
And I think that's an important point to make because sometimes your demise has nothing to do with you. It's just the way you've communicated or the way the message is being received by those who are supposed to be receiving it. And so I get that part. Now, sometimes it has everything to do with you. Like in Kenny's place, I think it had everything to do with him. It's just he didn't know what he was doing. I love him. Great guy. I wish him all the success. Clearly, he's off to a great start. He's gonna make $8 million. But I think with his situation, there's like the movie, it's lost in translation. There's something that's wasn't working, and they weren't picking it up. With Kevin's situation, once they were on the court, they got it. It was just some other stuff that was going on that had nothing to do with him. And for some reason, it wasn't clicking. And then all of a sudden, it did. So,
and a lot of people are acting like they came out of nowhere. NC State was ranked for a good portion of the season.
Absolutely.
But going back to probably about around January or so, I mean, we all knew that NC State was good. And we thought they were a tournament team. It wasn't that much of a surprise. They just kind of struggled during the ACC portion of the schedule, which that has bared out that the ACC was a lot stronger than people gave it credit for. So while it is a surprise just because of the way the season ended and the way they finished up the regular season.
Yeah.
If you go back through the majority of the season, especially early on in the season, it's not that much of a surprise if they're able to make this run.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, gentlemen, it's NC State, it's Purdue. You got something, Charlie?
Yeah. So you're going to sit here and tell me that it's not a surprise that they are where they are? Because it's a surprise because of the way the season ended, but majority of the season, NC State was a top 20 team. It's just the way the season ended. So if you look at the way the season ended, yes, it's definitely a surprise. But if somebody would have told you in December, January that NC State was going to make a run, it wouldn't have surprised you. How many losses do they have?
14.
14 losses.
14 regular season, yeah.
And to make it to the Final Four with 14 losses, that's not a surprise.
I'm not saying it's not a surprise now. I'm just saying if we'd have asked earlier in the season, we would not have been surprised. This is the way the season ended for them. There's a reason why it's a surprise that they're making a run.
Well, that ending was a long term because they lost a lot of games within their last long part of the season.
The conference season. They lost a lot of games in conference.
But I understand what you're saying. They did have the bones of a good team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I may not have articulated it right, but yeah, they definitely had the bones.
But I understand what you're saying because I understand what you're saying because the reality of it is it looks worse than it is because people thought that the ACC was down, and so the ACC is just not as good. Same thing with the women's side. The ACC is down, and they're not as well. No, the ACC is just fine. What the ACC has been doing this past year has been beating up on each other and making it hard to climb up into the rankings to make it look like we're a much better, stronger conference than we actually are, which is traditionally what the ACC has always done. North Carolina, Duke, Louisville, Florida State, we're all beating up on each other, so we don't climb into the top number one rankings, this, that, and the other. So then by the end of the season, we send in 8 teams, but we're a strong 8 teams because we've tested ourselves against ourselves.
And back to my point, NC State lost 14 games. 11 of those games were in conference.
In conference, which turns out are significant losses, right? So that's what I think. That's what I was gathering from what you were saying.
Yeah.
So that's on the men's side. On the women's side, the women decided, hey, anything you can do, we can also do.
I know Charlie's had another point real quick.
Yeah, I wanted to bring out the point that DJ Burns made about the team being late and everybody being on the same page. Um, you know, some of that is called winning. You know, when you start winning, those things tend to be a factor in the winning part. When you're losing, those things tend to be on the losing side, meaning you're not on the same page because guys want to do certain things that they want to do, and they take for granted what being on time and being punctual and those types of things. And even though there's probably a discipline system in the mix with the coaching, like you mentioned, it does come down to player uh, accountability. When the players start taking accountability of their team, then you start to see the turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, on the women's side, they got their own version of DJ Burns in at least they got it in it, especially in that Elite Eight game in Isaiah James. I don't know what was in the water in the Portland region, but Isaiah James just went off. 9 of 17, 7 of 9 from three point land. She had 27. She almost single-handedly won the game by herself. But she did get contributions from Baldwin and also Sanaa Rivers. But to me, the most impressive thing of that game was that they were able to slow Booker down just a little bit, which is nobody had proven they could do the entire tournament, and they got Booker going 8 for 21 for Texas. So listen, NC State quietly put on their own version of the men's side, and I mean that Texas win was big. To beat them by 10, that was big.
I think the rest of the country is starting to realize how athletic that NC State team is, especially on their wings. Their wings are super athletic.
Charlie, the point guard from that's Isaiah, right? Is that Isaiah or is that which one is the one that came from South Carolina?
Sanaa Rivers.
Sanaa that came. I'm very curious, and isn't it funny how God works? Once again, a player has left the team because I'm just gonna go somewhere and have a better opportunity and I compete and this, that, and the other, only to end up back at the same place you were before. I'm looking at you, Haley Van Lith. I'm looking at you. I'm looking directly.
At least in Sanaya's case, she was probably right. She didn't go from being the woman or being her to being a role player. she went to NC State where she got more opportunity.
Yeah. Listen, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. The athleticism of NC State versus everything that is South Carolina. They look. Listen, I watched South Carolina. Now, I will say this. The South Carolina game.
They look vulnerable.
Right. I didn't. Oregon State pushed them a little more. Well, not even just Oregon State. Both teams pushed them a little more than
Indiana
I thought.
Pushed them.
Yeah, than I thought.
I told you.
I was like, wow, they're not as strong as I thought they were. Maybe there's some holes. I see the holes. And so
I don't think it's necessarily that. I mean, I do think they're vulnerable, but it just shows that there's parity in college basketball. I mean, that Indiana team, they're a very, very good team. And because of course I see them all the time. Right. They can score from just about all 5 positions. They got scorers all over the place, and Mackenzie Holmes is a problem down low for anybody.
Right.
And South Carolina got up big on them, and I do think South Carolina may have let off the gas a little bit, but still, Indiana's a scrappy team. Terry Morin is a great coach, and Oregon State's another one of those programs that's on the come up right now. And so like the parity is just showing up in women's college basketball
It
now,
is.
and it's just not like 2, 3, 4 good teams. There are good teams in every conference, and every team, every conference has at least 2 or 3 teams that can make a run at the Final Four.
And to your point, as we look at the women's Final Four, NC State, South Carolina will open up, and then of course the game that everybody's going to be talking about is UConn and Iowa. I don't see that this is a lock for South Carolina. Like South Carolina is going to have to show up and
It could
really
very easily be a monkey wrench to everything, and it'd be NC State and UConn in the championship
100%,
game.
100%. I agree with 100% on that. The X factor is, I think, Carmela Cardoso, who, by the way, just declared for the WNBA draft. And I think she's going to go higher than people are projecting her. Everybody's saying she's like a 5th or 6th pick. If I'm picking a second in the draft because I think her upside and what she immediately brings to the game
You're picking her over
are
Angel?
better than Cameron Brink.
You're putting her over Angel?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
100%. Angel to me is somewhat limited in what she's able to do. Now, I love Angel's defense. I wouldn't listen. Her defense is stellar. But I don't love offensively what she brings to the WNBA game.
Okay.
Charlie is smirking. Why are you smirking, Charlie?
Because they're in the same boat.
You think they're the same?
They're very similar players. None of them really perimeter. And so they're both kind of low post players. If you start shaking it all out, one's just taller than the other. Space eaters on the inside. And so to me, they're very similar in what they do.
Which is another reason why I take Carmelo first, because you can't coach 6'7".
Agreed.
Will Angel be more of a 4 in the WNBA?
No question.
Because I can see her banging with like Asia Wilson.
No question. Right. Bang with Angel Wilson, but
I think she's in the same categories as Asia Wilson, because if she continues to improve her game, to me, I don't know how much work she puts in the off season.
I don't think she puts in hardly any, Charlie. Yeah.
And so I think once that part improves, you'll start to see, because she has the athletic ability to do some things. She can handle the basketball. She can pass it. To me, that's what separates her from a Cardoso.
Yeah, I agree.
Because she can handle the ball, and if she put some more work into her game, she could expand her game to the perimeter.
I would like to see her develop a little bit more of a mid-range, not necessarily a 3-point shot, but a mid-range, and get a quicker release on her shot. I mean, when she shoots a jump shot, it looks like those old like 1950s where they pause and then she shoots it. I like to see that like speed up. But I think she can develop a mid-range game. She doesn't need to extend a 3, but she can get a like 15, 16, 17-foot jumper. I think she'd be.
I wouldn't care if she ever shot a 3, but I'm 100% in agreement. You took the words right out of my mouth. To me, the gaping hole is she doesn't have a mid-range shot. And so everybody knows that she's trying to get to the block and score, or she's trying to drive inside and score. And in the WNBA, that's an easy those girls are going to be able to stop that until you get a counter. So that's where, to me, Cardoso, her strength is where I value at this moment over Because imagine if Cardoso gets that same mid-range shot. Well, she's ahead of her now because she's already got a stronger game.
That's why I would say you got to put Cameron Brink ahead of her because Cameron Brink has
and everybody has Cameron Brink ahead of her. My only question with Cameron Brink is that I've never seen you do it when I needed you to do it. Like in the tournament, what game would you say Cameron Brink broke out in?
And in the past, this year now, but like she played really well against Louisville a couple years ago.
She did, but I'm waiting for you to do it when the lights get brighter, and I have not yet seen you do it.
That was the Elite Eight.
No, I'm talking about this year. I'm talking about this year.
This year,
I waited. I watched her this year, and I'm waiting. And a couple of times, I think she fouled out or got into foul trouble. They had to sit her, and it was just like, okay, Cameron, this is the time. This is the moment. Now it may not cost her because one thing I do love about Cameron. Her defense, I think, is stellar. And so you got to, that defensive instinct that she has and her willingness to challenge shots at the rim without fouling, which I think she does better than both Cardoso and Angel Reese. I like that part of her game. But at the same time, again, you're trying to translate up and you're saying, okay, well, does that work against an agent? Does that work against?
Well, see, here's the thing, though. She's not. I don't think she's going to play in the post when she gets to the WNBA. I think she played in the post this year because she had to. But like her best position is going to be out on the perimeter and then going in there and coming off ball and blocking shots.
But is she Elena De La Don at that point? Like, does she have that fluidity to be able to?
I mean, that's what development's for. Brink.
Yeah, and I agree with you both on the development side again. But a lot of teams, and this is just the way drafts work. I'm not trying to develop your whole game. I'm just trying to develop a part of your game. But if I take you second in the draft, I'm gonna need you to step in immediately and do the things that you're good at right now. I'm not waiting on that.
But it really depends on the team.
It depends on the team. Yeah.
These players, and who can develop them to what they want them to be. Because at that point,
most people have her going to the Sparks, Charlie. Most people have her going to the Sparks to replace Nika Agumake. Shanae, I think, is resigning. I think she's resigning. I haven't heard anything different. But her sister's already signed with Seattle, I believe it is. So yeah, Shanae is still there. Shanae's the one on ESPN. I think Shanae's thing is probably more business related because she is on ESPN, so it's just easier for her to just sign with the Sparks and handle all of her ESPN responsibilities and all that stuff. So that might have as much to do about why Shanae's resigning than anything.
And probably it is.
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see how that all unfolds. John Suggs, listen, you may not, clearly you don't like NC State. I get it. But I don't know if Purdue's going to crush them. It might be a little aggressive.
They got the same team.
I was gonna say, I think it's basically the same team, and you could make a case that NC State might be a little more athletic than Purdue.
They are more athletic than Purdue,
right? So that's what I'm saying. So if that athleticism overshoots the shots that Purdue normally gets, it's not unlikely that NC State could get to the final game. It's not.
Right. If I had to pick, I'm going to pick Purdue, but I mean, it's not. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think NC State can be right there.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout either, unless
they play really good defense.
Yeah,
as we've seen NC State.
Yeah,
and
everybody said the only state to beat SC is SC.
Who's that?
We'll
South Carolina?
Yeah, we'll see.
And we'll see. I mean, they're my favorite, and I'm rooting for Don Staley, but they're a little bit more. They're more vulnerable this year than they have been in the years past because part of it too is that they're not as dominant inside.
I wouldn't say that. I think they're a better team than they were, even last year, because I think last year, the last couple of years, teams were playing, a boxing one, a triangle and two on inside players.
Yeah,
and so they were literally packing the paint and daring people to shoot. But that's not this year's team. They actually have some outside shooting, and they have inside presence. And so I think if they don't lose focus, they're going to be hard to beat. Any of these teams now, but I don't. If James decides to have a game like she's been had these past few games, it makes it tough.
She's good. I watched her destroy Louisville.
About River Baldwin.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how well Baldwin would be able to handle the inside athleticism of South Carolina. That's going to be a telling factor. If she can hold her own on the inside, I know NC State will have a chance to win the game.
Well, and then the other side of that is, the other side of the bracket is with UConn and Iowa. First of all, UConn, and I can't imagine UConn is going to have the same game plan to Caitlin Clark that
let her shoot. Shoot all night plan? No, they're not going to do that.
I don't understand LSU's game plan at all. At all. Once he hits 3 threes, I'm switching. I'm doubling. You're never getting another open look the rest of this game. I'll find fouls on the bench so that you're not shooting. I don't care. You're driving most of the rest of the game. That was wild.
You gotta make the other teammates beat you. You can't just let her.
Man.
And then I will admit, after going back and watching some of it, there were player mistakes where they would just totally just back off of her. What do you think she's gonna do when you back off her?
She won't shoot.
That's not coaching. That's a player mistake. And there's a couple of times. It was because I remember specifically she had a step back three in the third quarter where she kind of stepped. She was at about the free throw line and she steps back and she had two defenders on her. They both went to the basket. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they were kind of confused, man.
You can't just let that woman shoot.
And listen,
and going under screens and going under screens.
Under screens.
Haley was discombobulated. That's not a word that I use a lot because it doesn't always fit the state of mind of the person that just went through the experience. But if you go back and watch that game, that is the perfect description of what she looked like out there. She looked lost.
It was in her head so bad. And
it was in her head.
Started forcing shots. She couldn't make anything. She made the 1-3. I think she was 1 for 7.
There were times she was shooting the ball on offense where I think she really thought she was still on defense. Why are you shooting that ball? Why are you shooting that shot? That doesn't make sense. But I think she was so discombobulated by what just happened on the defensive side that she couldn't mentally make the transition. And so she just took the shot. She just knee-jerked and took the shot. It was a weird game. And the irony of it is, it was literally the exact same game that happened last year.
No, she played well. She played well against Caitlin last year. She did.
I thought she didn't. I thought it looked very similar.
Haley had 25 that game.
She did, but she played still got cooked in some areas that wasn't coaching.
At the same time, though, she wasn't the main defender on her when they played last year.
Right.
And Mikasa was on her.
The cooking was served equally.
Robinson?
Right.
She cooked Mikasa a little bit.
Right. The cooking was served equally last year.
Even though at the same time, looking back at that, Mikasa wasn't on Caitlin as much as I thought she would be in that game.
I just didn't understand why, because clearly Flau'jae was the better defender on Caitlin Clark. And I understand why you don't use her.
But she's been defending the best perimeter player on the other team all year long.
All season long. So why now? Why would you? I don't know. You know what it felt like? It felt like Russell Wilson at the end of the Super Bowl against the Patriots. We're going to now put this girl forward so she gets the glory. No, you're not getting the glory. What you're about to get is a gumbo. You're about to be cooking this pot for the next 40 minutes, and it's going to be bad for you.
And I know everybody is concentrating on Caitlin Clark and on Angel Reese, but shout out to Flau'jae because she was unbelievable.
She was outstanding.
She played so good in that game.
She was outstanding. And I'll even go a step further. Shout out to Anissa Morrow, who should have gotten way more touches when Angel Reese sprained her ankle. Anissa Morrow was stepping up in a way that I'm like, okay.
She was physical out there.
She was physical, and she could drive in and get the score. I don't understand. I just don't understand what Kim Mulkey was doing. I think she got more caught up in her outfit than she did the game.
Well, she tamed down the outfit. She wasn't wearing anything crazy.
She wasn't wearing nothing wild. I'll give her that. It wasn't
for what she had. Yeah, so I just went back and looked at the box score from that last year when Louisville played Iowa.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin had 41, and she had a triple double. She almost had a quadruple double. She also had.
That's what I'm saying. I thought she cooked them last year too.
She did.
And it wasn't individually Haley, but it was like Haley got her.
But Haley had 27.
I don't even know how much she had this game. What was her final total?
She had like 5 points this game.
That's rough. So that brings me to this question: should she declare?
I don't think she should.
She's got one more year, Charlie.
Haley Van Lith.
Haley?
Yeah.
I think she hasn't. I think the deadline's already come and passed. I think she had to declare by like 10 o'clock.
She could declare because Angel just declared.
Yesterday. Yeah, I think yesterday
was the deadline yesterday?
I think so.
Oh, God.
It's normally quick.
All right. I was gonna say that's pretty quick. They don't even get a chance to get out of the Final Four.
Well, the draft is 2 weeks or something like that.
yeah, that's true. I never have understood that about the WNBA, but I get it because their season starts in May, so I guess kind of get it. But I don't know. That's weird that they have to jam it all in so fast. But so then that's over. Then I guess she's coming back. I'm assuming.
I would imagine she should come back.
She should come back. Though. She's not ready.
I wonder she'll hit the portal though.
You think she'll hit the portal?
Why not? I mean, after this year,
you have Flau'jae there. Then you have one of the big girls that was a true freshman this year. She wasn't bad.
Yeah. And Anissa, I don't think Anissa is a senior, is she?
The Williams girl.
So. Yeah.
Who's another true freshman. So they have a good little nucleus coming back if they stick it out together. They could be right back in the mix again.
Yeah, I agree.
I could just see Haley hitting the portal.
Okay. If she does that, then I don't understand what you're looking for in your career. Because hitting the portal is not going to help you.
I mean, it could. I mean,
no,
it didn't work. I don't think her game fit what they do there. And so, I mean, go somewhere and find somewhere that fits her game.
I'm going to respectfully disagree and say it this way. I understand exactly what you said, and I understand what you mean. I'm going to say I don't think they fit her game into what they do there. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, she's a shooter. She's a scorer. So you got to give her the space to do what she does if you're bringing her in. They never did that. They wanted her in this team concept, which is fine, but that's not what she does. She's an individual. She's Paige Becker. She's Juju Watkins. So that's what she does. If you're not bringing her to do that, then why are you bringing her in? What's the point? Yeah. So I agree. I slightly disagree, but I agree at the same time. All right. So who's winning this thing, guys? On both sides. Let's start with the women. By the way, shout out to the women for that huge number they put up. in that LSU Iowa game. That was insane.
12.3 million.
That's massive. That is a massive number. That's like Tiger Woods in the Masters in 97 numbers.
Right.
All right, who you guys got? NC State, South Carolina. Does NC State pull off the upset?
I mean, I got a couple caveats here. If Fire James goes off, I'm going with NC State.
You going with NC State? Okay.
If she goes off, but if she doesn't,
she got to go off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But South Carolina's going to be a tough out, regardless.
But you know what though, Charlie? If I'm their coach, the pregame speech is simple. No one believes you're going to win. So go out there and just shoot that thing. And let's see what happens.
I don't know about all that.
Let's see what happens.
Some discipline.
Well, discipline on like I understand what you're saying, and I agree, but I'm saying the only way they can win, they're going to win the game is they got to fire. They got to shoot.
Well, all the pressure is on South Carolina. That's what
South Carolina has all the pressure. So just go shoot that thing. Shoot it. If you open Isaiah, if you open Sanaya, shoot that thing. That's all I'm saying. If you open, listen, I would tell them both. If you open and you don't shoot that thing, you can come and sit by me. I need somebody to shoot that thing. Because you got to put South Carolina
Jeff
on
Walsh.
the heel.
I've heard Jeff Walsh say that your players are much more colorful language.
Yes, Jeff is different. His pre-presentation way more different than mine. I will admit that. It's not for sensitive ears. Let me just say that. Now, having said all of that, I'm going to be rooting for North Carolina State while I pick South Carolina.
Right. I'm gonna say South Carolina's gonna win this whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow. So regardless of what Caitlin Clark does or Paige Beckers, who, by the way, shout out to Paige Beckers, who is reminding us all why she was what she was. She looked phenomenal. That USC, in some ways, that USC UConn game was a better game.
Not in some ways. It was a better game.
They were going at it. I was like, geez. And I felt so bad for Juju because in Juju's mind, she's like, why can't I stop? Why can't we get over the hump? And I'm like, because that girl is good. She's just as good as you are. And she's got a 3-year head start.
Right. I'm rooting for Juju. Juju is probably, she might be my favorite player in college basketball.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, I don't feel bad for her for losing. She needs that. She needs that. Michael Jordan kept losing to the Pistons. Juju
a little humility
needs some adversity.
A little humility never hurt anybody.
And that tight. And plus, what they got coming in next year, get out of here.
They're gonna be ranked number one. They'll be ranked number one.
Gonna be number one in the country next year.
For sure. Yeah.
And is my favorite player.
Absolutely. So So no Caitlin pulls it off for anybody, Charlie.
No, I mean, I think teams take her out of the mix or at least cut her number down.
Yeah.
Guard her.
Manageable. 4-1 points is a lot.
Yeah.
And to me, a lot of teams aren't taking away her strength and forcing her to push it. As Kendrick shared the stat line from last year's game against Louisville. What was that last stat you gave Kendrick?
The 9 turnovers?
Yes. See, a lot of people don't realize that you can turn her over.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, she turned the ball over a lot in that LSU game.
Yes.
Well, you quickly find out. I don't understand why more teams are pushing her left. It's clear her left side is not as strong.
Except she's deadly fading left shooting at 3 though.
Right. It's the fade left that you got to be careful with. But the dribble left, if you stay on her hip, you can get that turnover. You can absolutely get that turnover.
Like I said, a lot of teams aren't playing her the right way. I mean,
Right.
if you're gonna give up something, you're gonna give up tough twos. But what they're doing is they're not even making it a challenge for twos. Like they're letting her shoot.
Good
Right.
morning. I want to welcome you to the boarding area for flight 3767 with service to Miami. You're
Yeah.
here on
Right.
just one carry-on bag and one
Yeah.
personal
As
item.
opposed
To
to at
expedite
least
the boarding
challenge her,
process
putting
and
the
help
body
you
in
out on
front,
time,
and
it is
then
important that you place your
rotate
smaller
it,
items
because
such
she
as your
will.
backpacks
She's
and
a willing
purses under the
passer.
seat in front of you.
Oh,
Reserve
yeah.
the overhead bins for larger
A
carry-ons
passer
only.
that we've
Please keep
seen
the boarding
would
lanes
turn the
clear until
ball
the number
over
shown on
if
your
you
boarding
have
pass has
active
been called.
hands
If your
and you
boarding
have
pass
active
does
body.
not have a number, please board
She,
number
she
7.
can
Today we
anticipate.
do have a very full
Which,
flight. Overhead bin space is
when you
limited, so we will need
anticipate,
to check your bags here at the gate.
a lot of
Prior to
times
departure,
you
if you're
may
in
end up
group
with a lot
7,
of
8, or
turnovers
9, we
because
do
you're
expect to run out of overhead bin space by the time we
passes.
reach your boarding group.
And
To help
so
expedite boarding,
I
any
just think
customers are welcome to
if
come
there's a
forward at this
team
time
that
to check the
can get
carry-on
it
bag,
done
complimentary to your final
defensively
destination.
on her,
Thank you for choosing to
then
fly American and will be in boarding for American flight
they're going to struggle just like
3767 with
they did
service to Miami here in
in
just a
transit
few
games.
minutes.
And I think Paige is going to take that challenge too.
Oh,
Paige
no
is going to
question.
take that challenge of defending Caitlin Clark. I
No
mean, she
question.
may not. I mean, Gino may not want her on her the whole game because you do want her to have some legs on the offensive end, but I think she's definitely going to take on that challenge of guarding Caitlin Clark.
No question. I think I'm going to go UConn on that one. And by
I'm
the
going
way, shout out.
UConn.
I'm going to say something else too. This might be Gino Ariama's greatest coaching
With all the
that
injuries
he's
they've
ever
had,
done.
with all the injuries, he's not
It
out there
didn't
coaching the dream team anymore. He's
it didn't dawn on me that he was missing 6 players. I'm like, wait a minute, you missing 6 people?
yeah,
And still you got them in the that's impressive, man.
yeah.
That dude is
He's got the all sweatsuit team, and they're still out there
oh yeah.
doing
And by the way, it looked good in
it.
those sweatsuits. Those are nice sweatsuits.
Those are very nice.
Those are nice sweatsuits. Okay, let's go to the men's side real quick before we get out of here. On the men's side, shout out Charlie. Shout out to your headphones. Those are amazing. NC State, Purdue, Alabama, and UConn.
I mean, I thought Illinois was going to give UConn problems. They did not. So
None.
That
None
30
whatsoever.
That 30-0 run was insane. So I'm not picking against UConn under any kind of circumstance.
Can we just pause for just a quick second and revel in what that statement you just made? Because my favorite text of the weekend was Charlie going 30-0. That is it's hard to wrap your mind. You can't do 30-0 in a rec center. Like you can't do 30-0. That's insane. That is insane. So
you can't do that on 2K.
They're still flying under the radar. I mean, they did it last year the whole time, which is crazy. They were still doing the same thing, blowing out teams. This year, they really hadn't played, what you would call the elite group, minus possibly Illinois out of the group. But no one's really, I mean, they're talking about them, but no one's really thinking they're still in the mix of being able to win another national championship.
Charlie, I don't even think people understand UConn. Like they don't even understand how they're doing it. So like you hear analysts talk a little bit about them, but not really with clarity. So you'll say, oh, well, NC State's doing it with DJ Burns and they're doing it with Edie and Alabama's doing it with their length and their athleticism. And then they go to UConn and they say they're dominating. Like, yeah, but I don't think they understand why. Like, but they're the most complete top to bottom team left in the tournament, and they understand who they are and they stay with what they do. That is as simple as that. And so you're gonna have to beat them. They're not gonna beat themselves. They're not gonna outthink it. They're not impressed by your 11-0 run. They're not impressed by your traps in the back court in the first quarter. Listen, they've gone to listen. Let's be clear. They've gone to 3 of the 5 games. I think they went, and they weren't down, but I think they were within 2 to 3 points on 3 of those games. Am I correct? In the first half.
They've got an advantage though, in Clean Kong. heard him say that's one of his nicknames the other day, Clean Kong.
And he doesn't get the respect he deserves.
He doesn't, but he's starting to. I mean, that
He's
dude
starting.
is he is a monster. I mean, he's 7'2". He can move, he can run the floor, he's powerful. I mean, he can beat you, he can play you any way you want to play. I mean,
Well, I
that
tell you
dude-
what, if he goes out and houses either Edie or Burns to win the national championship, he may be about to make his announcement. I've arrived. So,
I think he's probably going to do that.
yeah, my analyst in my sports career will not allow me to pick against UConn. just on that alone, I have to pick UConn while I root for NC State. But I just don't know what you're going to do for 40 minutes. You got to stop them for 40 minutes, a whole 40 minutes.
I think Alabama's ability to score will give them problems, but I think UConn. I think they're Alabama's ability to score, especially Sears, but UConn's defense is gonna. UConn's so good defensively. What'd you say, Charles?
Because you hit it on the head. UConn's defense is elite. I mean, and the way they go about doing it is they're like, this is my guy. They play team individual defense, which is hard.
Yes.
Because they have a guy, and if that guy's coming off the screen, they chase that guy all the way over the screen, get back in front of him, and then everybody else is playing team defense while a guy's doing that. And the individual defense is solid, and so they have very little miscommunication because they have an understanding what they're doing.
And Charlie, the only word you missed in that statement, that great analysis was every time.
Yes.
They don't just do it one time. They do it every single time. And
like
so
Charlie
there's
said,
never a worry. There's never a worry on the backside of from the post or anybody else having I got to go up and cover that. I don't. My guy's gonna chase every time up that screen. And it's that's what makes it impressive because you're like, so y'all just disciplined like that. Y'all don't really be worrying about.
I mean, that was the best thing Charlie said. They're great individual defenders who play good team defense. I mean,
every time. But I'm telling you, that's the part you can't understate because teams don't consistently do it, and that's why teams get beat because they're not doing it every single time. Their guards are coming over that screen every time, and that's impressive. To me, that's the most impressive part because if you're big and I ain't got to worry about you, I ain't got to worry about my guy having to come up on that screen or hedge it in any way. We can shut all this back down here. We got this back here.
And they defend the screen and roll really well because part of that is because Clean Kong is so agile that he can get back and defend that roll if he has to. But again, like you and Charlie said, he doesn't really have to worry about it as much because he knows that his guard is
he don't have to
right
cheat
there.
It. Right, he doesn't have to cheat it. He doesn't have to come all the way up. He can lay back just enough and make the guard think. Make the offensive guard think a little bit and come out until you're forced into shots that you don't want to take. And if you're not making them, we're going to beat you by 30.
So the key for Alabama is going to be, can they win a game when a team takes them off the three-point line? Because the three-point shot for them is their calling card. And the way they win games, they have won games. And if a team takes them off of that three-point line, can they win that game with their defense, on the other end? So that'll be interesting to see, which I don't think they can do with UConn.
I think they're going to have to jump out to an early lead too. I think they're going to have to put that kind of pressure on UConn to where there's a 10-point, 12-point cushion. And the room and the building is maybe a little loud, and maybe that has an impact on them. I don't know if it will. It probably won't. because UConn is so steady. But just adding a little bit of that mental pressure, maybe that helps a little bit for Alabama if they're making shots and mixing up those threes that you're talking about, Charlie, with some drives to the basket, putting pressure on Kong, Clink, whatever his name is. We call him Kong, but
Clean Kong.
Clean, yeah, right.
Clean
So
Kong.
putting a little pressure on him, maybe attacking him a little bit more, forcing him into some decisions or whatever. But it starts. You're right, Charlie. It starts with shots that you're not finding ways to get that 3-point shot off early until they run you off, and then you force them to drive. Maybe some driving kicks. But it's going to be a tricky game, man. Good luck to you, Alabama. You're going to need it. That's all I'm saying.
Alabama, I said, Alabama. The good thing, what Alabama has going for them is they can get up and down the floor. They can score. They put points on the board, but what's going to kill them is their defense has been optional for them all year. And
it's not there,
as much as we're talking about UConn's defense, UConn can put points on the board too if they need to. So it's going to be a tough for them.
Whenever they want. All right.
Charlie has a flight to catch.
I was going to say, we're about to lose Charlie Ward. He has given us all he can give us, and now he's got to go to the actual Final Four.
And you know what? Since he's going to the Final Four,
Charlie, I feel forced to do this. A little bit, just a little.
And that was a Charlie Ward humble flex.
Big one though, Charlie. This is like a little tiny one.
Yeah, just tiny.
You had the Final Four too, Lord.
Okay, I'll flex myself out.
And that was a humble flex.
The Lloyd's Final Four is a green screen.
Background is popping. I ain't gonna hold you.
You got any shout outs real quick, Charlie?
Once again, that is group number 1 in U.S. military members.
No shout out to the Seminoles.
Have a safe flight, Charlie. We will see you later, brother. All right.
Safe travels.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah, those headphones are amazing.
The lady was quite talkative at the gate.
Oh my God, I was like, "Lady, ma'am, if you just let us finish our broadcast,
ma'am, whatever you talking about is not that."
Is there a way to pass a note just that everybody can be notified? Again, it's going to be a great weekend. Everybody's looking forward. This is what it's all about as far as college sports is concerned. I'm very curious. And then let me tell you guys, after we crown a champion this week, we are going to have a ball talking about this draft. This draft has ratcheted up in a way that I'm not sure anybody thought was going to be. This might be the best draft we've seen in 10 years, just because there's some mystery now. And our ACC brethren and sisterin, we're not talking about it as much because of the basketball, but I think you're about to see some good conversations about a lot of ACC players and where they're going to land going into this draft. This is going to be a fun draft. This is going to be a fun draft. So I'm looking forward to getting into the weeds on that. Kenji, who you shouting out, man? Who you shouting out?
I'm gonna shout out. As much as I hate to see him go because he is such a great kid, but I'm gonna shout out Sky Clark. He committed to UCLA last night.
I thought I saw him.
But after he committed, he made sure to tweet at the Louisville fans, thanking the city of Louisville, saying he always loved Louisville, and I think that shows the kind of classy kid he was. He was a great kid when he was around. He was great being able to talk to him and cover him for the year he was here, and to show that kind of class. I mean,
absolutely,
especially as much heat as they got from the fan base all year, it shows you the kind of kid he is.
Is he an LA kid? Is he an LA kid?
Yeah. He's
I thought. This is going home for him as well.
And also shout out to Trey Kaufman-Wren, Purdue forward who played locally across the bridge at Silver Creek High School. So they're super excited for him over at Silver Creek that he is playing in the Final Four for Purdue. He's a sophomore, so shout out to him.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice.
And he was always available when I needed an interview over Zoom during COVID.
There you go.
So shout out
There
to
you
him.
go. There you go. I want to give a shout out to my family as well as more specifically my wife and daughters, whatever, but just my family in general. Who I had a couple of little things going on over the weekend, health wise, but I'm better now and focused. I'm focused. I'm locked in. I'm very locked in, and so I'm excited about that part of my future. And so I appreciate my brothers as well for not abandoning me when I needed them the most, and they were still available by text. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun this weekend. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate that very, very much. And then I had another shout out, and it slipped my mind just that fast.
Oh, and real quick, thoughts and prayers. The families are affected by the tornadoes that hit Louisville last couple of days over in Prospect. Tornado.
Oh wow! Okay.
It's a well-to-do area, so it's like so sometimes when it's a well-to-do area, people kind of dismiss it.
Sure.
But they're going through a lot right now. So thoughts and prayers to them, and the cleanup is underway, and whatever you need, hope everything you can get everything you need. But thoughts and prayers, everybody was affected by the tornado that hit Louisville the other day.
Absolutely. Had not kind of been out of the loop, so I had not heard a little bit of that. But that, yes, please.
Yeah, when you go from 80 degrees to 40 and snow, usually severe weather comes with it.
that's a telltale sign, right? Severe weather is on the way. I think that was it. I think that would be it for our shout outs, because the one I'm trying to remember, I can't remember. But shout out to just again everybody, and listen, shout out to the tournament. What a tournament! What a tournament on both sides. March Madness is flawless. It cannot be. I've never seen a bad March Madness tournament. Never seen it.
Shout out to people who are marking the 3-point lines that we can get it right.
Shout out to that women's game. Shout out to the women's game.
I'll tell you real quick, because I know we need to get off here, but I'll tell you real quick, and it's a whole conversation, but the other side of the explosion of women's college basketball is they're going to have to fix a lot of stupid stuff that happens in women's college basketball that's kind of flown under the radar.
No question about it. Because listen, for those of us like Kendrick and I who've been covering women's basketball for years, that 3-point thing was not a surprise at all. Hannah Hidalgo's nose
randomly being a problem. Yeah,
that's not a surprise at all. That's what we're used to.
Yeah, that's the stupid stuff that happens in women's college basketball that gets flown under the radar. And the awful officiating. All that stuff's going to come to light now. So the NCAA is going to really have to crack down on a lot of the goofy stuff that happens that's flown under the radar.
100%. I pray though that the women's game can keep this going. Let's keep this going. Let's get these.
There's a real good chance, because this past year's freshman class with Hidalgo and Juju headlining it has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we got another good freshman class coming in. If you watch the McDonald's All-Star game the other night, it's a lot of talented freshmen coming in.
Shout out to the McDonald's All-American game on both sides. Those were two hell of a games. They were competing.
They were competing. Shaq's daughter was amazing to watch.
She's a real deal.
Yeah. She got more to her game than her daddy.
Listen. No, listen. I think he would say it. Listen.
Actually, though, if you really look at it, when Shaq was her age, he was bringing the ball up the court like she does. So younger Shaq it's similar to where she plays at.
I hope that she's going to be surrounded in Florida with what she needs, because if she is, they can make a run next year. She is out.
Yeah, her and forgive me for the other girl that was playing. There's also McDonald's All-American that was on her team. Yeah. She's also going to Florida. Shout out to her too. Yeah, they got a 1-2 combination coming. Shout out to Zach Randolph. Zach Randolph's daughter coming to Louisville. Zach Randolph's daughter and Gilbert Arenas' daughter will be freshmen at U of L this year. So shout out to them.
That'll be interesting. That'll be fun. That'd be fun. We got to get Zach and Gilbert on the
Give me a chance to yell hibachi randomly on the news.
There you go.
I did when she announced. I did yell hibachi.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, listen, the women's game is healthier than it's ever been. I think they're headed to something great. And if they keep putting up numbers, they're gonna listen. The numbers they're gonna put up this weekend are gonna justify everything we've witnessed this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they can just keep it up, man, and then I want to give a shout out to ESPN, even though 2-3 days out of the week you born the ish out of us with this pre-draft talk that is unnecessary.
That's only one show.
Cowboys talk that I didn't even ask for.
That's only one show.
That's one show. I agree. But that show is a lead show, and they set the tone, so that's why it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the last 3 or 4 days, they've done a great job of covering and giving.
First Take has done an excellent job. First Take has done a great job of covering the women and covering the tournament in general. Yeah. Let's be honest. Let's not beat around. Let's get up. We don't need to hear about the Jets and the Cowboys. I
don't want to hear about them no more. Not right now. Not right now. You got plenty of time for that. But stop it. Stop it.
You don't need to constantly talk about the draft every day when it's 6 weeks away. And that's 3 weeks now. But I mean,
yeah, these women are doing something legendary right now. Like something we've never even seen before.
It was insane. The Monday after the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, and all they're talking about is the NFL draft. Come on.
Oh, man. It was terrible. It was terrible. I just had to shut the TV off. I was so frustrated.
Yeah.
So they did better this weekend, though. They did much, much better this weekend. Even though a person I will remain nameless beat is Caitlin Clark going to be one of the greatest of all time. He beat that into the ground until it was just laying there as a bloody pulp on the ground. Like
that's one him, and then certain analysts over on Fox who made an ass of himself yesterday. So
well, he's fighting for his life though. I get why he did it. He's literally fighting for his job at this point.
He just says stuff, and you can't take anything he says.
Right, and their ratings are so bad.
And then you look at the people who supported him, and you understand.
Yeah, no question. So I get why he said it, because he's fighting. He's literally fighting for his job right now. Because I think they're 6 months, maybe to a year.
Well, being true to yourself is more important than a job.
That's what I would do, but but he's clearly proven that he has no allegiance to himself at all. It's all about these ratings and clicks, which he has literally tweeted that before. Right, the guy could be dying on the field, and I'll tweet about it. Like I don't care. I'm trying to win. So anyway, all right, guys, enjoy your weekend. It's gonna be a great weekend. Real quick to my brother over here, we're doing a fun thing this weekend. With it's ironic that you're wearing the Hillman shirt, because on Uncorked Wine this weekend we're having a small little tournament, the greatest Black TV show of all time. In your mind, is a different world that show, or which show would you go with?
You know what my favorite show of all time is? Fred G. Sanford.
You love you some Fred G. Sanford.
SANFORD, period.
You love you some Fred G. Sanford, brother. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to put that out there. It's gonna be fun. We had fun with we did Black films 2 weeks ago, and the greatest Black film, and it ended up being, oh gosh, what was the winner? It came down between Boomerang and
Menace.
Was it Boomerang and Ray? No, it was Ray and Black Panther. That's what it was.
Okay. Where was Menace?
Of course, Black Panther won.
Where was Menace?
The Final Four. Menace didn't make it to the Final Four. The Final Four was Boomerang, Ray, Black Panther, and amazingly, it was Hollywood Shuffle, which I think is the most underrated Black film of all time. There are so many wonderful moments.
Got to eat too.
Got to eat too. Listen, so many wonderful moments for Hollywood Shuffle. So this will be fun this weekend, and get you ready for the rest of the weekend as well. So, all right, people, love you guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week with a lot of review, and
we'll have 2 national champions next week.
We'll have 2 national championships next time we see you. So we'll talk about it. Peace. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us next time on